You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with someone that plays Monopoly, but always prefers the shoe, Stuart.
How's it going? How you doing, Rob? How you doing?
Stuart, tell me a little bit about yourself and what do you do professionally?
So I'm 37, I think, at last count. I'm married with children. Professionally, in my professional life, I'm a building surveyor on the railways. So I get to go to all the lovely train stations around the UK, making sure that they're safe and nothing's going to injure the passengers. So whilst it doesn't sound particularly glamorous, I have got the opportunity at some points to go to some really far-flung and quite interesting places. But yeah, that's pretty much my professional side of things. On the other side of things, obviously, on my hobbies, I run a small little gaming outfit called Thumb Culture.
You know what's interesting is the fact that I've talked to so many train people now, only because in the UK it's actually still a thing. When here it's like there's barely anybody really riding the train system anymore. We usually just use it for like shipping supplies and stuff.
Mm.
And it's so strange because those were always the best moments too. Like, when you'd see a train come by and everybody's honking, trying to get the guy to blow the horn or something.
Yeah, it's massive over here. In fairness, I've got quite often gone out to train stations and just sort of doing my day job, just checking around and making sure everything's okay. And then all of a sudden, you'll see like these waves of train spotters descending upon the station, and you kind of think to yourself, well, surely there's got to be something special coming by. And then, yep, 5 minutes later, this like old steam train will come, sort of, come whizzing through, and you kind of just think that it is a like trains, you don't appreciate how big they are until you're actually down on the track and you sort of get a train go past at, I think, about 100 miles an hour, some of them.
Yeah, well, they look
And
like they're going so slow. The next thing you know, you get right up next to it, and it's freaking whizzing by your head, and you're hearing that like going right by you. You're like, holy shit.
that's it. And they're so silent as well. Like I'm a trained, what they call a COS, which is a controller of site safety as well. So I look after safety of the guys on track and things like that. And you really do have to have your wits about you, because these trains nowadays, like the normal diesel trains, if the wind is going in a particular direction, you cannot hear those trains coming. All you can do is you can hear like a faint whistling on the rails, but they're scary how fast they go and the damage that they can cause.
Well, also, you got to think about what comes on the tracks too. Like, you want to look at a person driving a car, and then a deer pops out, and you're like, you swerve out of the way. You can't do that with a train. You're ramming
No.
that deer, but you have to make sure that there's the tracks are clear. I mean, do you ever have anybody that just walks the tracks
Oh, all the time. People, unfortunately, people are stupid.
and they throw stuff on
um
the tracks?
oh, it's horrendous.
I'm one of those stupid people. When I was a kid, I did do that. I did.
I think the problem is the railways over here, they try and secure them off as well as possible, but you can't secure anything sort of permanently, because people do have to cross the tracks for certain reasons. And it's when you get the silly people that think that it's fun to cut corners and go from point A to point B, but use the track instead. And if you don't know the rules of the railway, and you're not appreciative of what damage they can do, that's how people lose their lives.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that movie Snowpiercer?
No.
It was a movie about like a train system, and all these people were basically living on it because they couldn't go outside because it was too cold. So they had like different wealth classes on the train system, the very, very rich, but it's like this long ass bullet train type thing. And that sparked a bunch of people to start riding like the metro system and trains again. I mean, in a
Mm.
common place like New York and Brooklyn, it's pretty, obvious. You're watching Spider-Man when Peter Parker, that's the original Spider-Man in my mind. Uh,
Yeah.
he stops that train. That's common down there, that metro system, that type of
Yeah.
thing. I'm from the East Coast. We don't have any of that anywhere in our area. I mean, you'll see the decent train, but it's for supplies. But there's something interesting about it too, like being able to sit onto like a metro system or a train and be around people. First of all, you get to see a wide variety of people. You get to see how everyone's not really talking to each other. Everyone's just kind of floating on, trying to wait for their stop. It's kind of, it feels nice in a group. And then there's the weird, crazy person that's just yelling and screaming.
Yeah, yeah. I've been on many different sort of metro systems. I went to New York. I've been there last year, just gone, and a couple of years ago for our honeymoon. And riding the metro there was fascinating, but nowhere is as fascinating as riding like the train system in Berlin, in Germany. You'll get on stop A, and then so like 2 stops down the track, somebody will get on with like a speaker and a microphone and stuff and just start singing away to you. But the problem is they're singing in like German or their own language. So you're sat there listening as somebody. I mean, I don't speak many other languages. I speak a small amount of Spanish, but I'm sat there on this train with my wife, and we're just looking at these people thinking, what we don't even know what they're singing. But they'll get on, they'll sing their song, they'll walk down the carriage to try and obviously get a few pennies and what have you. And then the next minute, they're off the system, and you just look at each other and you're just like, what on earth has just happened?
It's
Um,
it's one of the like the last, I would say, like true kind of cultural things out there when it comes to like a system of transportation, unless you're riding like through donkey or something through like the mountains.
yeah,
But it's just because people don't want to really ride it anymore because it takes forever. It's not a fast trip, it's not an easy trip, you know, but it's definitely more of an experience only because you can look out your window and see so much more of the culture. That's why places like Germany, that's why places like London, that's like a lot of places that have true old architectural buildings, you know, character in the buildings.
yeah,
Um, they still have those systems running.
yeah. I mean, they also go through areas where you might not necessarily want to drive through. You also get a different perspective. Like if you go over to Wales, in North Wales, you've got the train that runs from sort of Holyhead, which is at the furthest point of Wales, all the way through to Chester. Some of the places that goes through are just beautiful, you know, coastal tracks and things like that. And you know, you get a good view of what, in particular, what England and the UK is like from a different point of view that you wouldn't normally get if you were driving.
Yeah, I definitely think, you know, the whole view aspect of it is probably one of the most important. You get to pick up small details about your city, wherever you're really traveling to. You see things that a lot of people don't see. And I
Mm.
can't believe I never even asked this question. Since you're from the UK, I always ask everybody that's from another country, why do you drive on the wrong side of the road?
See, we
Ah,
don't drive on the wrong side of the road.
that's the answer I always get. I love it.
No, I think there's only a few.
If you're talking to someone from Australia, they give you a more edgy, I guess, comeback to it. And then you talk
Yeah,
to somebody from the UK, they're just like, "Nah, mate, you do." I'm like, "Okay."
yeah, yeah. We don't drive on the wrong side of the road. You do. I mean, I don't know. I really, it's one of those things. I've never driven abroad anywhere. Fortunately, I kind of, I get public transport when I go abroad. But I think I would properly be confused. I mean, I've been driving almost 20 years, and yeah, to go to another country where they drive on the wrong side of the road, I think that would just, do you know what the worst bit? I think roundabouts. That I could drive on the right hand side of the road, not a problem, on a straight road. Bring me to a roundabout, and I think I'd fall apart.
It's I'm telling you, it's the four-way stop, dude. I have like 3 four-way stops on the way to my house, like in this small little neighborhood, just to get out of the neighborhood and go into the neighborhood. Nobody knows what the fuck to do when you approach a four-way stop. Everyone rolls up, everyone starts going a little bit, then everyone hits their brake and realizes everybody's trying to go at once. And I'm like, everybody, it's whoever's to your left goes, and then it just goes like that in a circle. It's so
Yeah,
simple. But every time someone's speeding up, gets there literally at the exact moment another car is literally about to hit it, they both slam on the brakes and they both try and go. Then they stop. Everybody's screaming and flicking each other off. And I'm just like, guys, can we? How long has everybody been driving? Like, you know,
yeah.
this isn't fun for anybody.
No, you get the same over here. If you come across like a small roundabout, and we've got a few of those near where I live, where you get, you know, obviously on a roundabout, you give way to the right. So if someone's coming around the roundabout to your right, you give way. Probably the same situation like you're saying on your 4 stop intersections and things like that. but you always just have to have one person that's got like balls of steel that's just going to go for it. Because the problem is, obviously, being in the UK, we're all polite. We don't swear at each other. um, there's no road rage in the UK. I don't know if you've heard that statistic. I mean, obviously, it's fake news, but
I was about to say, because I think where you get to see, which brings us in, it's going to be a little nice segue into the video games. Same aggression you get from road rage is the same shit you get when you're playing video games.
oh, absolutely.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Gandhi. If you would have given Gandhi an Xbox controller, he would have threw it through the TV when some dude's online calling Gandhi's mom a whore. It
Yeah,
happened. I'm just saying. I it's something, even though we might drive on different side of the road, our controllers are all exactly the same. No, we're not doing anything different from, somebody in the UK. It's all the same system.
yeah, absolutely. Gamer rage is a real thing. I'm usually quite a calm and collected person, and I'm very precise with what I say generally. But when I'm playing like Modern Warfare, something like that online, and yeah, the really sort of gamer rage comes out of me, and it's comical because I don't mean it maliciously. But yeah, people get called some names. But I try and I've always been the kind of person, because I'm very aware that if you send like a message to someone on like the PlayStation Network, that you can forward that message. And then I have been banned for a few days because of it. So I'm very, very careful of the way that I insult people. And I'm very clever in the way that I do it. I use I won't result to just going down the road of calling someone a whore or any other expletive kind of thing. I will literally try and just demoralize them using long words that they have no idea what it means.
Like telling them to kill themselves, but not hinting at actually any words that would
Yeah,
incriminate you. That's a smart way to do it.
that's the thing. I mean, I don't want to get banned on PlayStation Network because I enjoy playing with my friends. In the same way, I don't want to get banned on my PC and things like that. So, if you tell someone to just go and fornicate in a northerly direction, what are they going to come back with? I find it a much more eloquent way of than telling someone just to fuck off.
I would just say I prefer South.
Well, this is it. I mean, it depends what your choices are, I suppose.
Where did the inspiration for video games come from? I think we all played them as young kids.
Yeah, I've played video games since I can remember. I'm old enough to have owned a Spectrum ZX Plus 2 PC kind of computer and a Commodore 64. So I think for me, it was more of a I can't to be fair, I couldn't tell you exactly the reason why. All I know is I've played video games for a long time and always used it as a bit of a release to get away from, like, not the real world, but just to kind of, you like, you get in from school at the end of the day, you've had a long day at school. The best thing to do is just to sit down and zone out for a while.
Yes. See,
Uh,
this brings in a good thing because I read a paper in college about video games and violence. And
mm,
my theory was that video games do not cause violence. Like, they don't cause people to get angry. It's completely idiotic. But this was around the time everybody was writing articles, and media was attacking video games, saying it's making your children do all these crazy things. And I'm like, no,
mm,
no, no, no. You're not gonna shoot up a store unless you've already had that initial thought. Playing Madden,
yeah,
playing a racing game, playing Grand Theft Auto is not going to give you that idea. That
no,
no, because I can tell you right now, every time I drive down the road, I might have the sudden thought to veer off and hit a pedestrian, see how many points I get. I don't ever actually do it because I'm not fucking nuts. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
never ever wanted to go beat up a hooker and then throw her in my trunk. That
no,
Grand Theft Auto situation does not happen. And the only thing that I found out with when playing video games, it does cause anger because of an emotional stress level.
yeah,
Sadly, when you're a kid is mostly when you're going to see it when a kid freaks out. I don't know how many times I picked up my Xbox to throw it out the window. And my brother's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm going to fucking throw this thing on the street because I died 4 times in Call of Duty and he just keeps killing me." He's like, "Do you hear what you're saying? Like, this is not going to matter 5 minutes from now. Put it down and we can just get on with it." And you're like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right." And then you place it
yeah,
down and the next thing you know, you get shot again. You're like, "Son of a bitch." And you just chuck it,
yeah,
but it's because we develop an emotional attachment with video games. I think that's a good thing, but a bad thing as well. It's got to be done in fairness.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I've got a friend who he's older than me, but and this is just a prime example of what you're saying there is people like on shoot games like Modern Warfare, people care too much about their statistics and being the number one gamer on the leaderboard and things like that. Like my friend's claim to fame, he was like top 20 in free for all on Call of Duty 4. And it's like, yeah, well done. You're top 20 of a bunch of people who play on their own. And it's like, for me, gaming is more social. I see it more as a social thing as opposed to worrying too much about statistics. Like people that die loads in video games, yeah, you rip them and you kind of tease them a little bit for needing to get good and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you play another round and they'll come top of the table, and it's just
I think it's getting worse too with the whole kind of like everybody's looking at their statistics only because the fact is you can make a lot of money being number one at something. You know,
yeah, for
be-
sure.
it's really strange because I remember times where like, I was bullied through school, so when I would come home, my Xbox was there. My parents weren't, they were out working two jobs or something. My brother was older than me, so we didn't have that connection. He was either at the beach or doing something he could drive. And I was just like, nobody lives near me, so I can play video games and connect with my friends that way. I mean, whenever you had a problem when you were a kid in school or something, somebody solved it on a video game. Like, I'll meet you
Yeah.
here. For me, it was Modern Warfare 2. That Rust map, whenever I see a picture of it, it brings back complete nostalgia, which is why I think video games are very popular. The nostalgia you get from it, the graphics, are fucking insane now. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't even need to take a vacation anymore. You just load up a virtual reality thing and there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is difficult. See, when I was at school, you just used to meet in the playground and like throw a few pushes and punch people, and that was it. I mean, I think I think I would have been a bit more sort of popular if I had the same kind of thing. Meet me on Call of Duty. I'll 1v1 you.
Well, I
But
was looking at a video on Facebook or something from a Twitch streamer that's like really high up in Fortnite, and he was banned for using an aimbot or something. And he was like
oh
crying
yes,
and screaming and making a video of it. And the dude's like in his 20, like 24 or 25. And I was like,
yeah,
I experienced that same thing when I was a kid. Like, just because I was so emotionally attached to my Xbox, like, I'll never forget. All right, hold on, before I ask, are you a PlayStation or Xbox fan? Which system do you prefer?
I have a PC and a PlayStation, so I bridge the gap slightly. I have had an Xbox One at one point, but it just didn't get used because of my PC.
Okay, because it seems like it's either Xbox or PlayStation's always in this competition war, and then there's Wii that just kind of struggles in, like, hey, we're still relevant, hey. But when it comes to like the Fortnite thing with PC, all that, like getting so angry, like I experienced that when I was on Xbox. I mean, I bought Spyro, the Reignited trilogy. I ended up mastering it after like a couple days because it was a whole nostalgic effect for me. It was fun playing it. But I remember as a kid, I could never get past the first level, like the second level or something. I was like, after 5 minutes, I'd get so upset that I had to go take a nap. And I mean, I was little when it came out, but I remember when I bought it and I was like, I'm finally going to play this game. I remember how much fun I had. I forgot about all the times I screamed and yelled, and I'm playing it and I beat it in 5 minutes. And I open up my door and I'm like, Mom. And she goes, what? I'm like, was I retarded as a kid? She goes, what do you mean? I'm like, I just beat this game that took me for, and then she starts explaining to me, no, you're older. You're able to complete things better. Your mind thinks better. You come from a different perspective. And she talked me down after like 10 minutes. I was like, I thought my life was a lie. And then I go back to play the game and I beat the next level. I'm like, don't fucking lie to me. I like literally told her, I was like, I know IQ had to be like -6 or something. Holy shit. Cause I completed those minutes so quick, but it was crazy to see how my problem solving and critical thinking really plays into video games, which I think a lot of people don't really fully keep in their mind when it comes to video games. They always picture like the stereotypical 40, 50-year-old dude living in his basement playing World of Warcraft with like pizza boxes stacked up real high. And I'm like, no, no, no. That's a stereotype. Let's look at
Yeah.
the people that are using, like my little cousin, for instance. He's using Minecraft. He's only 7 years old, but he's able to build shit I would never even be able to think about. Like the stuff I get to see him do with angles and all this stuff. His room is as straight as an arrow, too. I start looking at him. I'm like, you can't be related.
Yeah, I think video games are they're phenomenal. They're a great way for people to express themselves, and I think there's a lot more of that, especially like you're saying with the Minecraft community and things like that. I mean, I played a little bit of Minecraft on the PS4, and I built a house, and me and my friends all built this house together, and we started digging down into the ground, found this massive cavern system. Me and a friend went down there into the cavern system, got killed, lost all of our stuff, couldn't be bothered to go back, and we've literally never touched Minecraft again. But in terms of the construction and the sort of the way people can express themselves and design things and stuff, it's always fascinating. Like I used to watch these YouTube videos, and it was basically like a fast build of something. And some of the things that people do, and the way that people's mind works on video games is just phenomenal.
Yeah,
I
it
mean, you
starts to
hear it
make you
when you're
feel
playing
like you're an
anything.
idiot, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
I
Like
get
my daughter.
frustrated. I'm like looking at him. I'm like, how did he build freaking Disneyland? And I'm over here building a house, and then my cousin's yelling at me like, "Dude, you didn't do it 5x5. It's not going to be symmetrical. If you don't do it 5x4 or 5x3, you're going to mess up, and then you're going to have to edit out a bunch of stuff." And I'm like,
Yeah,
what? Like, I have my associate's degree. You're still in elementary school.
different world though, isn't it? That's the problem. I don't know. It's scary. It's scary, some kids out there and what they can do.
If I had to ask you what is your favorite video game, what would you say?
If you asked me right now, I would probably say Dying Light.
If that's just because you're playing it a lot.
No, no, no. I haven't played it for absolutely ages, but it's the only game where I thought about it day and night. Like if I go to work, I'd be thinking about like the missions that we had to do, or the different crafting weapons and things like that. And then it's just a complete zombie game. I mean, if you're into zombie games, it's definitely the way forward. Just it's just brilliant.
What I really love about video games is I feel like it unlocks a true inflection inside the person, if that makes
Yeah,
any
sure.
sense. Like, I found out I have a medieval, like, the ancient type arts addiction, basically, with like Greek mythology and stuff when I was playing video games. I'm a big World of Warcraft fanatic. I
Hmm.
love the role playing games. I love Skyrim. I love Oblivion. I love all those types of old school medieval swords, all that type of thing. And I would have never found that. And like it's
Yeah.
something that I still love and enjoy playing today, like being able to run around, slice somebody's head off with a sword. I mean, I'm not a psycho killer, but at times you just want to steal a sweet roll or something.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like video games, they allow you to live an alternate life. It's not saying that you do live an alternate life in these video games, but you're able to put your person into a video game with like the creator character stuff, and with the amount that they're able to go into the depth now. Like I remember when there was a character mode, and you used to get like 2 or 3 options for a face. Now you can mold the cheekbones or the jawline, and it's just crazy the amount of sort of customization that you can go into now, and people are literally creating themselves and putting them in video games. And I think with you saying about RPG games and like Skyrim and stuff like that, I've never been massively into Skyrim. I'm literally just reinstalling The Witcher 3 now, just to try and give that another run through to see if I can actually get into it. But I can see where people enjoy those kind of games. Like I'm a big fan of Big Bang Theory. I don't know if you are.
Yeah, I like Big Bang
Um,
Theory.
and there's an episode where Sheldon's having a bad day, so he goes and has a walk in the desert on Red Dead Redemption. And it's things like that where you can use these video games to basically just get rid of all of the angst and all of the frustration of the day just by going into these video games and almost passing that emotion onto the character in the game,
Well,
and
it's
going
escaping
there.
from reality. That's one of the
Yeah, for
best
sure.
parts about video games. I mean, how many times is your day super, super stressful? You just want to go home and you want to relax and you turn on a video game and you can just completely forget about your day. I mean, there's times I'll load up World of Warcraft, old school RuneScape, shout out to RSPS. But I'll lose hours, man. I'll be sitting here playing like 6 o'clock in the morning, something. Next thing I know, it's 8 o'clock at night, and I'm like, holy shit, what happened to the day? Like, I feel accomplished. My fishing skill went up. So, I mean, I think we're good.
That's it. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like you're saying there, right at the end, you've got the accomplishment of the video games by increasing a skill or finding a new trait and things like that. And that's the kind of thing that keeps video gamers playing games, is just that next unlock. Like, if Modern Warfare is your game, you're looking forward to unlocking a certain weapon. If, say, a racing car, if you're into racing games, getting into the next, moving up a tier in the leaderboards is what you're aiming for. And I think as long as you can achieve those kind of little small wins and small sort of bonuses, that's what keeps you hooked. And I think it's almost a bit of trying to think of the right word. It's almost like that self adulation that you get from completing a certain part on a video game. Like when I'm playing Modern Warfare and I get the level up sound effect popping all over the screen, I've achieved something. I've played a game for long enough to be able to level up and level. And I think that's great about video games, because it teaches people that it's not always about big wins. It's all about the little steps. I think it's a great way to help people to, and it's going off on a small tangent, but it's great to be able to show people how to plan goals and how to have that life skill almost of not thinking too far ahead of yourself, but
How
having
did
the small steps to get there.
Now, how did this turn into a game review site? Like, what are you trying to teach? What are you trying to show people? Are you trying to help others navigate kind of what they might find like an interest in, or are you just trying to give your experience on playing the game?
So essentially, I joined the Thumb Culture team about 3 years ago, when it was just a YouTube review site. So we're doing video reviews and things like that. Then, less than a year after I joined the team, I joined a team of 3 other guys. They all left for their own reasons, and then subsequently set up their own another gaming review site. So I kind of took over at Thumb Culture and thought, you know what? I'm not even interested in making a career out of this. I want to be able to have a website where people can come and express themselves, come and be able to talk about video games, come and be able to learn sort of writing skills. I mean, I'm no professional writer in the slightest, but we have editors and things like that. And I think now we've got a regular team of around 10 to 12 guys that contribute to the website. We've also got people that kind of dip in and out. But I like to think that what we do that's a bit different to everybody else is none of the team want to make this a career. We're all doing this in our hobby. And it allows us to be able to get out more honest content. We haven't got, we're not looking to send out clickbait and things like that to try and get as many hits as possible. We're literally just trying to write game reviews for gamers, so that if someone's looking for a game, they can come to our site, check out the review. It's spoiler free, so there's no chance of you finding out what happens at the end of a story or certain things. We get the core mechanics of the game there. We tell the people what they can expect in the game, what they're going to be doing in general, and then that's kind of bolstered on our Twitch channel as well. We've got a Twitch channel and a YouTube channel, and any revenue that we make from our Twitch channel all gets donated to charity each year. So we literally don't make anything off of anything that we do. It's all kind of for the profit of other people, really. And that's kind of the way that I make sure that my writers are working.
Well, it's crazy because when you see someone like yourself that's passionate about video games, even at an older age or something, people still of obviously probably around your age or something, they look at you like, how can you be passionate about video games? It's not going to get you anything. I'm like, that's not the world anymore. It's really
Yeah,
not. Even if you
yeah.
don't want to turn it into a sustainable job, it is one though. Playing video games. I'm not a big video game guy anymore. I just stopped playing it, and then eventually I'll turn it on, watch like YouTube or something. They'll switch over and maybe play a game, but ah, it's it's crazy times we're living in, man. We're living in this world now where like we don't know what's coming up, and when the video game does pop up, you're like, holy shit! Like, how did they narrow this niche market? I mean, if you even look at what were the basic video games when we were a kid, they were like a strategy game. You had like one strategy game, it was like Pong or something. Then you had Frogger, and then you had like the list goes on and on to like the basic styles though were like fighting, strategy, a puzzle game, or something in a shooter. Now it's like you got Minecraft, you got building games, you got ones that are specific to what style you like. You got family oriented games such as like Sims or something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy to see how they keep coming up with something new and making it better and better and better, which is like for a video game guy's perspective, like myself, talking to one like you, have you ever thought about creating your own video game?
Do you know, I have. I've always thought, do you know what? It'd be really cool just to, because obviously with the amount of tools that are out nowadays, like with the Unity engine and the Cry engine and things like that, I think the Cry engine in particular is actually free to anyone that wants to use it. So you can make a game out of like the Cry engine, and they won't charge you for their software. They'll charge you obviously if you build a game and you want to publish it and things like that.
You got to read
If
them details. I've made some mistakes. Taco Bell, it's only buy one, get one free with two other purchases. Those sons
There
of
you go.
bitches put it in small lettering.
That's it, and that's the thing you have to look at. But with like, I've always thought, do you know what? I'd love to play a video game. Like I went through my whole teens thinking, do you know, I'd really love to be like a games tester. But then I sat back and I thought, well, would I? Because I like to play video games as a social aspect, as a bit of a release from, frustrations of the day or whatever. Would I want to do that as a job? If I did that as a job, would I still have the same feelings about video games come the evening? Would I want to sit there? Would I be able to see it from the same perspective? Or would I now all of a sudden, if I did become a games tester, would I then be tearing apart all of these games, trying to find out what was wrong with them and things? And in the same way as making my own game, I think I would obsess over making a game, and I would spend way too much time. And I think I would lose that fun aspect of a video game because, say I decided I wanted to play like a side scroller. I wanted to build a side scrolling kind of platform game, kind of like old school Mario or something like that. I think if I created something like that, I wouldn't be able to play another game of that kind of genre because I would just be trying to analyze it and pick it apart in that type of thing. So it's always there on the side of my mind to think, do you know what? Just a nice little fun little project in my spare time. And then I sit back and realize I have no spare time. It's a frustration because I think one day maybe when like my kids are grown up and I haven't got to look after them with my wife and things like that, maybe I will dive into a bit of game making. But until that time, to be fair, I'm just happy just to play games and shoot shit.
Well, I have to ask, what game have you thought of? I can give you one of my game ideas if you want to hear it.
Do you know, I quite like the idea of like a bit of a sci-fi esque kind of game. So I don't know if you've played or seen anything of Stellaris.
I have.
Something like mixing Stellaris with like Elite Dangerous, something like that, where it's. I mean, you're very much going into the realms of like No Man's Sky and things like that, where it's just a space exploration. But something like that, I think, would be really up my street. I'm a massive Star Wars fan.
As
Going,
soon as you said sci-fi, I immediately thought of Destroy All Humans.
yeah,
I was like, that's one of the games, like, you can do the mission if you want, but it's like you can also just do whatever the hell you want, which I love that in video games, like where it's just like, here's the main story, and then you just go off and do your own thing, and then you spend like, I don't know, like 40 levels just going out and killing things, and you come back to do the main quest, you're just running through it all.
yeah, definitely. Borderlands is one that's like that as well.
So one of my game ideas,
Yeah,
I used to travel all the time to Baltimore, and sitting on top, they have this thing called the Bay Bridge. It's pretty huge. I was sitting on top of it one time, like we're just parked in traffic, I guess, because it was just you just couldn't move. And I had this thought. Imagine if they made a Grand Theft Auto version, but using Google Maps or using some type of those like the GPS finders, and went around the world, got every location and threw it into a video game. You get to pick where you landed out and you get to stay there, and then everything else will be like on a separate disc or something. So you got the countries kind of on different discs. But you get to choose a superpower and you get to choose, like, if you want to do like whatever you want to be. You want to be an alien, you want to be whatever. You get these lists of options to choose from on how you get to structure your character and structure the game out. So I was thinking, then we scan everything from like, we buildings. You get the main common buildings, the most popular ones on every single place that you're going to, and you like the ones that are marked on the GPS, and you're able to actually like go inside of them, grab a drink from a store. But like, I immediately thought, like, when I was on top of Bay Bridge, since it's over water, I was looking down. I was like, imagine if I made a character that had a shape shifting ability, and you could turn into a great white shark. You just like, you're on the bridge, you just jump off and turn right into a great white shark, right into the water. I'm sitting there like saying all this. My dad's just looking at me. He's like, "Fucking write this down. Like, what are you doing? This would be awesome." I'm like, we're on Halo 3 right now. Okay, we're not going anywhere close to that type of technology ever, like in the next 100 years. Now you're seeing it's literally exactly how I imagined it in Grand Theft Auto 5. Like, and then they're coming out with another one, and then Assassin's Creed Odyssey, completely the graphics blew me away. I was like, we're here. Let's just do it. I don't even care. Someone can steal that idea if they want. I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah, that's it. No, it sounds like a deep and complicated build process for a game like that, but one that would be, massively sort of appreciated. I think there's a lot of games that are coming out that people are impressed by and intrigued by. There's a game coming out soon at some point on the PC where you are a great white shark. So it's kind of seeing things from a different perspective. I think it's called Mannys or something like that. And
Jaws was some of the funnest shit ever. I was going around just randomly attacking people on the beach. My
that's it.
grandma bought that for me, and she walked in when I was playing it, and blood's all in the water and stuff. She's like, "What did I buy you?" I'm like, "Hey, it said 17 and up, and you paid for it."
Yeah, that's it. But no, I think that there's a lot of people out there that have got game ideas for video games. Some of them are good, some of them, not so good. And you see that quite a lot on the Steam library and things like that, where people have had like 10 minutes to spare and they've almost designed a whole video game. And we get emails from game developers, indie game developers, and some of the games that we've had to review have been a little bit questionable. So yeah, it's frustrating the fact that they've given these tools for people to make video games, and unfortunately, some people just aren't meant to make video games. I think they should stick to what they're good at.
How do you typically rate or review a game, though? Like, what do you look at first? Like, how much fun it is? Like, for me, like, I'll just run through a story mode and be like, that was fun. But then, like, a game that truly is good to me is one that gets me sucked, like, brought right back in. You know what I mean? Like, so many times with so many games now, it's all about objectives because we're just living
Yeah,
this world where it's like we always need to be tasked to do something, and then we don't know what to do once we finished it.
yeah, for
And
sure.
I'm just sitting there like, man, I beat the story mode. Now what? I have to play it over again on a harder difficulty. I was like, I could do that, or I could just build a character and keep increasing all my like statistics and then keep doing random things and being able to do whatever I really want.
Yeah, I mean, we on the Thumb Culture website, we've ditched like the traditional numbering systems when it comes to games. So we don't give games like 1 out of 10, 10 out of 10, things like that. We go for more of an award system, because we're our tagline is almost by gamers for gamers. So we recommend a game whether or not we think people should buy them. So effectively, like if you were to get like a platinum award, which you could equate to a 10 out of 10, we're not saying that the game is, technically perfect. We're not saying that it's not full of bugs or it's not, we're not saying it's a perfect game. What we're saying is that if you're a fan of we're saying it's a must buy for people that are a fan of that kind of genre and that franchise in particular. So we kind of cover things. So we'll tell you who the game's by, who it's published by, who it's developed by. Then we'll go into the gameplay, and it's kind of like, what do you do? Why do you do it? How do you do it? And what happens after you've done it? Kind of questions that I like to ask the guys that are reviewing it. It helps them get a bit more of a balanced review. Then we comment on graphics. We've the predominant section on one of our reviews is the gameplay section. Graphics, audio, and then like longevity is kind of the three other sections that we come at afterwards. So obviously we've got people that play on the PC who have got really good PCs who haven't got as particularly good PCs. We've got PS4 gamers, we've got Xbox
Hey, you're
owners, we've
talking
got
to a
Switch
person that
owners.
doesn't have a good PC at all. I mean, I'll be playing RuneScape, and that shit'll be like, I'll run and click on a location, then I'll have to walk away from my computer for 5 minutes until he actually gets there. I'm like, this is just perfect. Like, that's the one thing. Like when I play it or something, I'm like, damn, I just need a really good gaming computer. I'm on Amazon all the time looking at those things. Like, I don't know shit about a graphics card or all this type of stuff. And my buddy's a giant, like he's up till like 6 a.m. playing World of Warcraft. He just doesn't even sleep. And he's like, dude, all you need is this, 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 this. I'll send you everything. Just order it all and I'll put it in your computer for you. I'm like, fuck, I wish I had the knowledge in my head to be able to understand it on that level, like everything you need from my buddy built his own PC. I tried it once. I cut my finger on the fan blade and then I put everything together and it like ended up the computer screen ended up glitching out on me and the whole thing shut down. I wasted like so many graphics cards and things trying to increase everything. I was like, I guess I overloaded it. I'm like, I wish I had the knowledge to be able to do something like that so I can actually create something that I can enjoy in the free time. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
I podcast a lot. I work a lot, but I do enjoy having time to myself where I can just get lost in something for a little bit. I don't always feel like podcasting. I don't always feel like doing something. I don't always feel like working out or something. I want to be able to truly not go anywhere, stay in my sweatpants and just get lost.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, I've built my PC that I'm currently using, and it's my pride and joy outside of my family at the moment. I think the problem with building PCs is that if you ask one person what you need, they'll have a completely different idea of what you need to build in comparison to another PC owner. And it's all down to personal preference, really. I think that a lot of people kind of want, if you say to somebody, right, I'm building a PC, what should I buy? They're like, well, you've got to buy all the best components, surely. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, I can understand the logic behind it. You want something that's going to last, but if you're only going to be playing something like Counter-Strike Source or World of Warcraft, something that's not massively taxing on a PC, then there's no need to start putting all of these RTX 2080 Ti graphics cards in there. You don't need the best Intel or AMD processor and things like that. And you can get really, really lost down sort of a really horrible rabbit hole when it comes to PC building, and it's frustrating because I see it all the time.
Also, when it comes to new video games coming out, I really like that the graphics are so good, but I also think it ruins people because when you go and play an old school video game that is so built up in your head, like it's the best fucking game ever, and
Yeah,
then you go and play it again, you're like, wow, these graphics, you just start noticing too much. Like, you want to talk about like where people can like learn too much about the game and then hate it. Like, the good part about mods when you play like Grand Theft Auto or something, they're fun, but if you start incorporating a lot of them, you take out the fun of the game. You're like, this is too much. Like, I don't like this. I ruined my experience.
yeah. Like I've got perfect sort of story for that. My daughter is 10 now. She's always been interested in video games and things like that, and she's always played on my video games, and like I've let her play on my PSVR a couple of times, and we've got an old school kind of arcade. um it's called the Arcade Club, basically. So you can go in, pay like, I think it's something like £10, and you get unlimited run of all of the arcade machines that they've got in there. And some of these things are like old classics like Arkanoid and Double Dragon and old sort of classic video games that we would play. But she's looking at these thinking, what is this? What, did you really play this when you were younger? I mean, it looks terrible. And it's really, like you say, it spoils people with all of the graphics now. Like, I mean, Red Dead on the PC running at full graphics quality is just something to behold. You could literally just sit on top of a mountain and just watch the clouds rolling across and the scenery and things like that. And like you say, it's spoiled for people that they'll have no appreciation of older genres and older games because of it. It's quite sad, really.
I always bring up the point like a lot of people spend a lot of time kind of just looking at the graphics in a game. Like, why would I want to go see it in real life if I can just see it here? I'm like, that's what gets me. It's like, don't look at it like that because there are some people out there who have no ability to move or something like that, or no ability to walk or have a disability or something that are not able to experience that. And if you have the option to get up and walk outside and see a tree rather than stare at it in Minecraft, you might as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the problem is it's a massive mentality of gamers where if you're speaking to one gamer, they think that it's only their opinion that counts. They can't see the bigger picture. And unfortunately, with social media and things like that, it has also given people the freedom to believe that it's only their opinion that counts. And like you're saying there, you ask one person, they're like, well, why would I want to go and see a tree? It's like, what, like racing games, people are like, well, why would you play GT Sport and drive a Ford Focus when you could go out and buy a Ford Focus? And it's like, yeah, but it's cheaper to buy a video game for £50 than it is to buy a Ford Focus ST for like £15,000. And it's just like, you got to have people don't see the bigger picture. Yeah.
See, the problem is it's hard to see the bigger picture when the reason why we were talking about before it being an escape. Video game culture, you're seeing a lot of people now. I mean, yeah, there's online playing, but not really a lot of people were mic'd up like it used to be. There was a thing, at least for me, I don't use my microphone at all. It's broken, so I have no want to play for it. I play solo games, but you see a lot of people that are doing solo games now because even getting online is getting a little bit difficult. It was always kind of tension back in the day, people calling you, stupid, an idiot, whatever, cussing at you, screaming at you. And it gets frustrating, but the world is so like hurt, I would say. Like when you walk outside or something, the reason why people don't want to go experience what they could outside, they rather experience it in a video game, is because there's no tension. There's no fucking work to it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
because the world has become work. You go outside, look at a tree, some dude drives by and goes, says something stupid at you, screams at you, calls you an idiot, calls you a dumbass or something. You're just like, wow,
Yeah.
like I'm just enjoying the view. You know what I mean? I remember I was walking on top of a bridge one time. It was funny as shit, but I was staring over the bridge and I was just looking down. I was like, look at the water. And some dude just drove by and was like, jump. I'm like, I'm just fucking admiring the view. Like but it
Yeah.
was one of those moments. Like I was laughing, but sometimes you don't know if a person means it. Sometimes you don't know if they're just kidding around. And it's like, you never know what could happen. And it's like, that's why people escape into video games. And then a lot of times they get online. I know so many friends that suffer from like severe depression and stuff. And they'll hop online. Somebody like they'll have fun, play a couple games, and then some dude randomly joins in, starts screaming and cussing and not letting you say anything, or just taking the whole fun out of the game. And then they're just like, go solo. They just go into a private match and just play around. I'm like, really? It just
Yeah.
ruins your experience? Like that kind of sucks. But I mean, you get to find that hate anywhere in the world. And I think at least having video games in that as a kid, like you get to grow up and know that, not everybody is going to treat you very, very nicely. A lot of people are just going to say stuff at you, but it creates a really distorted perception of it too, because you can say so much shit in front of your Xbox rather than in front of somebody's face.
Oh, absolutely. I think the whole keyboard warrior type mentality is massive on online gaming, especially some like with like the latest generation of games like the new Modern Warfare, where it's completely cross-platform. I'm playing on my PC, but I'm playing with my friends that are on PlayStation 4. We're playing with other people that are on Xbox, and you go into a lobby, and literally, because we are on different consoles, we have to be in open lobby to be able to chat. You can't have a party chat system across two different platforms. So you do get a lot more people that are talking in the lobby. And literally, my friend will be like, hi Stu, you're right. How's your day been? I'll be like, yeah, it's been really good, mate. Yeah, a bad day at work, blah blah blah. But then all of a sudden, you'll hear these like little squeakers be going like,
One
just start
person in the
insulting
back
you.
going, fuck you.
Yeah.
Just like,
Yeah.
like what? Like you get to see people's true personalities. Like you get to see the leadership role get in somebody's head. Like, all right, guys, we're going to do it this way. We're going to run it this way. And there's just some dude in the back like, fuck you. And you're
Yeah.
just like,
Suck my dick, man.
yeah, you're just like, come on, guys, let's
Yeah.
calm it down. Let's have fun. And then some dude's like, you're a piece of shit. You're like, all right, man, thanks.
Yeah. The ridiculous thing is it's so true. Like I was playing a game the other day, and me and my friends were only talking. This guy started chirping in, and it was just ridiculous. Like I get called all sorts online, and the majority of it doesn't bother me. This person was like calling me a virgin and what have you. But the ironic thing is this is literally how he sounded. He was like,
You're such a virgin. You're such a virgin, aren't you?
And I'm like, dude, do you realize the irony of the fact that you're calling me a virgin, but you sound like the biggest virgin in the world? And it's people like that that are like, I don't know, they all of a sudden, like you're saying, they get this massive like shoulder of courage that they can call anybody anything because they're over the internet. And it's like, dude, you're probably some like 14-year-old short white kid who goes to private school, who has never done any kind of hard, he's never had a hard day in his life. And I honestly, I just laugh at people like that.
Immediately I start, like, I'm pretty sure just like how we're talking right now, even though we're not seeing each other, we're probably already picturing what each other look like. And immediately when you made that voice, I immediately pictured like the kid on Xbox is like 12 years old. He's wearing a white tank top, got his snapback on sideways, taking a picture in his mirror that he's going to upload to Facebook. He's still got baby fat on his face and going, "You're a virgin." I'm like, oh man, that's who you
Yeah.
are. You get to
Yeah.
see him too, because we do the size comparison. Someone asks you, how many people have you had sex with? How big is your whatever? And then you start adding on top of it, trying to kind of like show off or something. People do that on
Yeah.
Xbox. I'm 6'5", bro. You want to go? You want to do this? You want to do that? It's like, you don't sound 6'5", unless you're a
Yeah.
guy named Tiny and you're like 20 feet tall. Like, you don't sound anything like you're 6'5". You sound like you're like 5'9", 5'10", and maybe you do okay in school, and you just start disarming them. I felt bad one time I did it, and I swear to God, I must have hit the nail on the head, because some dude was calling my friend a piece of shit, and I just randomly, like, I'm like, I'm not getting involved in this. I'm not getting involved in this. I'm like, just headset off, just shut up, Robbie, just play that game. And this was like years back when I was like 15. And this dude's just going off, like, saying all the stuff, how he's like has kids, does his job, has a bunch of side bitches and stuff. I just go, dude, you're probably 16 years old, still live with your mom. You probably don't talk to your dad because you guys have a bad relationship. You're probably not close to anybody into your family. I'm pretty sure you probably get picked on too. I'm guessing you're failing a little bit in school, and you just use video games as a sense of relief because your mom probably works all the time, and she just comes home and yells at you because you don't do shit, you eat like shit, and you look like shit. Dude just left the game, and I'm like, either I hit the nail on the fucking head or his power went out. And I felt so bad. I actually messaged him. I was like, sorry, man. And like, he messaged me this long paragraph, and literally he was like, you hit everything to a T. Like, I'm struggling at home right now. And dude, I ended up still kind of talking to him today, like 6-7 years later. It's
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like, video games, it does allow people to mask how they're really feeling, which can be dangerous, And I always try and make sure I wear my heart on my sleeve when I'm playing video games. And if there's people that are insulting and I can't be bothered to do anything back, I just won't talk to them back. And then they'll be like, between rounds, they'll be like, "Oh, they're not talking anymore. They're not talking anymore." And then you knuckle down and like you win the next couple of rounds or something if you're playing like Search and Destroy or something like that. And then at the end, when you beat them, it's yeah, they're the ones that then just leave straight after the game.
You can tell a lot about a person by the game they play, I would say. If you're playing farming simulator, you're probably really dealing with a heavy amount of depression, or you're a fucking psycho killer, because that game is the most boring game I have ever played in my entire life. It's too real. That's what it is. I love Viva Pinata. I don't care who the hell knocks it. It's one of my favorite games. Farming, whatever. It's like you get to have your own garden with pinatas and animals, and I love that
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
aspect of it. Then you play farming simulators, like get in the tractor. You got to hit certain buttons to drop the thing, and then do this. And I'm like, this is too much. I just want to be able to run stuff over, like the one of the best games ever, Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yeah.
That needs to come back, and I think they are doing it too.
There's rumors that that something like that's going to come back. Unfortunately, I think the size of the Simpsons now is it might cost whoever develops it a bit too much money to get the licenses, so they're kind of almost trying to get the Simpsons owners to fund it themselves, perhaps. But no, that'd be ace.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take all the taxes, and we're going to put it into that.
Let's do it. I'm
Yeah.
up for that.
All right.
I mean,
I don't know where my tax money's going anyway.
well, this is it. I mean, obviously, tomorrow is the deadline for on the 31st of January is the deadline for Brexit. So, sod it. Let's cancel Brexit and fund the Simpsons Hit and Run remake.
I'm down for that. I mean, I think our city's supposed to be fixing potholes and stuff with our tax money, but the only thing that's ever fixed a pothole down here is Domino's. I don't know why. And they put their symbol on top of it too. I'm like, you guys are marketing like a motherfucker right now.
Yeah, I'd love to see Domino's do that over here.
Now, if I had to ask you, what's the worst video game you've ever played?
Worst video game I've ever played.
I can't play Farming Simulator. That's the number one for me, and it's $90 on the marketplace right now. I don't understand that one.
Yeah, I've Farming Sim is my guilty pleasure.
What? How? Are you a psycho killer?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Oh, shit.
No, I think I used to live in Somerset quite a lot, and obviously Somerset is renowned for farms and farming and things like that. So for me,
all right, that makes sense because I have friends that are farmers that play it, but they also
I think if you have no interest in farming whatsoever and you enjoy Farming Simulator, then I think you're a psychopath.
Okay, cool. Because I don't have any interest in farming, and when I play that game, I literally want to throw something at my TV.
Yeah, I think if you've got a certain predisposition towards farming or something like that, it's actually quite an enjoyable sort of game. But do you know what? I honestly couldn't tell you what my worst game is. I'm trying to think of games that I've played on like PlayStation where like I've downloaded it for like a freebie or something like that, and then played it and just thought, nah, this is trash.
I'm a big fan of the Lego video games for some reason. It's the whole aspect of like completing something. Like you can get 100% completion by getting all the little secrets and unlocks. They're so much fun.
Yeah, but do you not think that the developers of the Lego games have missed a trick by not allowing you to play it online with friends?
They have it online.
No, it's only local multiplayer.
No, I can play Xbox Live online with Star Wars.
Which one? I need to buy this.
It's should be the second one or the third one, the Complete Saga or something. It has Xbox Live settings.
Excellent. I might have to look into that because the majority of them are only just local multiplayer.
And then the new one I think can do that too.
Yeah.
See, that's the fun part about it too. If you played that on multiplayer online, like it did suck when you have to have somebody over your house. I mean, it was a fun experience, but it was like, man, what happens if he doesn't have the option to get to my house and I can't have that fun experience?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember trying to play with Zombies Pirates of the Caribbean with my wife, who's a big pirate fan. She likes to think of herself as a pirate because she enjoys drinking rum, and but she's just so frustrating because she just wants to break shit. She doesn't have any interest in doing the objectives on a level. So I'll be running towards the objective on a particular level, and she'll be off back in the back where we started, just breaking everything. And I'm just like, God, just come on. And don't even get me started on when she's got to jump from platform to platform to get across a gap. It's just painful.
Yeah. Sometimes the second player does hold you down in a way. My little cousin, at one point, I had to grab the controller. I was like, we got to go this way, dude. We got to go this way. He's like, I'm just going to go play Minecraft. I'm like, because it's easy. It's easy. That's why. He goes, did you see what I built yesterday? I'm like, I did. And he goes, and you say that's easy? I'm like, I don't say that anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I really appreciate you, Stuart, for coming out and doing the podcast, man. I kind of want to give you here. I want to give you here a minute at the end to kind of promote your site and everything, and anything you want to promote, such as like a certain article you wrote that you want people to know a little bit more about yourself.
Do you know? I think the main thing that for us to promote is just our social media. So on Twitter, we are thumb_culture. Everything, all the information of the website and things like that can be found through our social media. I think the one thing that we do want to promote is our Twitch channel. Again, twitch.tv/thumb_culture. And all throughout the 2020s, we're raising money for a charity called SUDEP, which is for sudden and unexpected deaths in epilepsy. Which we change our charity every year that we raise money for, and we've raised money for Anxiety UK and cardiac risk in the young. And this year it's time for us to raise money for an epilepsy charity. And we just want to we just enjoy doing what we do on Twitch. We also record a podcast as well. So feel free to check us out on the Twitch videos and what have you. But it's difficult when people say, for me, do a bit of promoting for myself, because I don't like to necessarily rave on about all of our links and things like that, because I think, if people want to come and check us out on social media. They'll get a good idea of what we're about through there. All of our links for all of our articles are on there. We've just done a review for a little sort of stereo system for the PC. We've got game reviews going on there daily. But the main thing for us is our charity drive that we do every year. And SUDEP are, SUDEP Action. They're a great charity. And we just want to try and raise some money, because the charities over in the UK, they can't do anything without funding from people. So yeah, just keep an eye on our social medias. You'll see when we go live. It's generally 9:00 on a Sunday evening, where we record our little podcast. But we will be expanding on that streaming and sort of coming more regularly with some VR streams and all sorts of things planned for the future months.
I definitely feel you on not promoting yourself, though, because whenever I guest on a podcast, I just tell people it's out of the blank, look it up.
That's it. And I think if people have got that intrigue into like what they've listened to throughout this time, then they will just look up. They will just come on to the social media and see us out. I don't think you want to, I could sit here and go, this is our URL for our website, this is our YouTube, this is our Twitter, this is our Facebook, this is our Instagram. Everything's on Twitter. Just go there, have a look around.
Exactly. Well, thanks so much for listening to this episode Out of the Blank podcast, and stay tuned for our next episode.